What is going on, Colorado sports fans? Happy snowy Saturday to you. And today we have another episode of Club and Country. I'm your host, Baylor, joined today by my co-host, Alex. You staying warm out there?
No, dude. I was up early this morning out coaching. I was cold and miserable. I'm tired.
Yeah, I believe it. I got up this morning and I was gaming on my phone instead of my computer. And I was doing that so I could sit in front of my fireplace on a
Yeah.
blanket this morning.
Yeah, that sounds very nice.
Yeah, it was not coaching in the snow.
Yeah.
So, but I will be venturing out tonight, and so will you, as we will be out late tonight, as we have an 8 p.m. kickoff for the Colorado Bucks at home at Foothills Fieldhouse. Again,
Yeah.
8 p.m. And I am stoked. Last week we got canceled. The week before that we got canceled. We haven't played since we beat Lima, right?
That's correct. And
And
now
we got
Lima's
here
here.
tonight. Wonderful. I'm
Yeah.
stoked. I can't wait to see some more. See the Bucks back in action. Be back at home. Have you seen anything about a reschedule for last week?
Yes, we do have that one on the board. So Grand Rapids was that first game that got rescheduled. We talked about that one being pushed all the way down to March 23rd. We were supposed to play Omaha last week. Is that right?
Yes.
Actually, no. There's nothing. So, fake news.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll wait on that one and update there. But honestly, lesson learned: check Facebook before going to the game because I was the only one that showed up. That was an empty building last week, and I was like, "Hey, looks kind of dark in there. I don't think anybody's here." And then I went to Facebook, and turns out we were canceled. So
Yeah, luckily he gave me a call before I headed out. I
yeah,
was getting ready to go, and it was a very snowy day last weekend, similar to today. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it doesn't get as bad as it was last week so that we
yes,
can actually get there tonight.
right.
But we're going to do this show as if we are going to be there tonight, and we're going to talk a little bit about that game. For starters, I'm interested to see how the guys come out after not playing a game for 2 weeks. I was interested to see how they'd come out after the first win, but now I'm interested to see how they're going to come out and respond playing the same team
Right.
that they've last played that has also they've been playing, right? Lima's
Yeah,
been
they
playing.
they played Chicago last weekend and they lost 11-4, which is a massive difference from what they were showing up with in earlier games. So, this is definitely a team that's improving, that's finding their rhythm. They're ready to play. We definitely cannot go into this, kind of lazy, kind of I'm not in the swing of things, and definitely not underestimating this team despite the fact that we beat them in our last game against them. We need to be able to show up and say, hey, we are ready to play, ready to dominate, and we are not playing around.
I'm expecting a mixture of hunger and rust.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the team is going to come out with some pace and come out with some energy. Um, I think anybody that plays any sport at a high level kind of gets an itch to play. You can only practice so much before you
Right.
kind of get antsy and just want to get out there. But at the same time, there's also no way to simulate real games unless you're in a real game. So, there's definitely going to be a combination there of them trying to get after it. They've had plenty of time to work on anything they've needed to work on, anything they've wanted to highlight from the last few games they've played. They've had plenty of time to work on. So, I'm really excited. I expect it to be a little bit rough at the start, just getting back into the swing of things. But once they're going, I expect them to be full of energy and ready to get their second win.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think, a little bit of time to get in the swing of things. They've definitely been working hard in these last 2 weeks. So, a little bit of getting into it, getting back in front of that crowd, and then, boom, we're in. And I think we're going to take home the W tonight.
I do too. I do too. I think they have to. We were talking about this a little bit last week as
Hmm.
far as we don't know necessarily what playoffs looks like, but looking at trying to get into the at least the top half of the league is going to be a goal there. And to do so, you're going to need to take care of you're going to need to take care of Lima, especially in this home game. So this isn't just so much a I think we can win. I think we should win. I think they need to win this game, both for their own confidence and for, legitimate postseason opportunity.
Yeah, no, I think this is one of those. I agree. You have to make sure that you are winning the games you should be winning, competing in the games that you should be competitive in, and then trying to upset in those games that you're considered the underdog. And in this case, I think that the top two teams, as far as who's showing out this season, is Omaha Kings, who we've seen plenty of already, and then Grand Rapids, who won the thing last time. It was Grand Rapids versus Omaha in the finals, and it looks to be heading in that direction unless somebody can come in and stop them. And I think that the two teams with the biggest chance of causing some disruption would be us and the Chicago Mustangs. I think both of those teams are showing some life. I think even Cleveland beat Grand Rapids last weekend. They played. So Grand Rapids, I mean, there's no undefeated team in this league either. So that's a massive help for us. And I think overall, we just continue to get those W's, figure out how to compete with those bigger names. I think we're going to be in a good position by the end of March.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. You definitely like to see parity in the league. Kind of hoping to see more of that just down the road. You like to see an evenly matched league, and I think a lot of what we're seeing is, at least with the Bucks, and you mentioned Lima, um, only losing 11-4 as opposed to somewhere in the 20s and
Right.
like one or two goals. Um, you're going to see that. And then, of course, seeing how Colorado played against Chicago and how Colorado played against Lima, and even that first game against Omaha. These teams they're getting used to the league. They're brand new clubs, brand new franchises. A lot of these players, they've been playing soccer and indoor soccer, but not necessarily at this level. And I do think it's quite a level of adjustment,
Yeah.
or at least Colorado and Lima to get their feet under them. And, it's good to see Lima trending the right direction. It's good to see Colorado being competitive. It's good to see the winner of it all last year not running the table this year.
Right.
Just looking at these teams trying to figure it out a little bit and not just being dominated by two teams.
Yeah, yeah. I think the playing field is evening a little bit in this league, and I think especially as March rolls around, that's going to be the tempo is going to really come up. I mean, that is going to be a massive month leading into those playoffs, and I don't see anything on the website about how the playoffs work. So I think that's going to be a mystery to us. We might be able to see how they did it last year, but they had more teams last year, so this is not something that I think we're going to be able to get a guess on. We're just going to have to figure it out as it comes up.
How many teams did they have last year?
Oh, I think 12. I think 12, and they're down to 6 now.
Wow. So what, 8 of them folded?
Yeah, I mean, I think Lima is a combination. There were a couple of different teams that Lima combined into. Um, yeah, there's some interesting stuff that went down.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. I didn't know that. But I guess, from what we heard, what we heard last year is that, the top teams kind of just stomped people and realized that they didn't quite have the talent to hang.
Yeah.
So, kind of combining that, getting a little bit higher density of talent on the teams to
Yep.
kind of level it out. Probably the league realized, hey, we probably started a little ambitious with how many teams we have.
Yep.
I mean, look at any other new league, like look at new football leagues. Like they always have like 6, 7, 8 teams max, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, it's just not sustainable until you can amass the talent.
Right.
And then once you start having talent overflow, you start looking at things like the NHL with all those expansion teams.
Yep.
And you start having drafts where you can literally just you build your roster by picking players off of teams because there's so much talent. Um, or you could go about it the way that the MLS is going about it, and you can take indoor clubs that already exist and kind of start grooming them, start sending players to those clubs to develop, um, and start setting up a track so that when it comes time to expand, you can either just take a team and push them up like the MLS does,
Right.
or you can take a team that has a base and do some sort of expansion draft like the NHL does, but you have to have deep enough teams to do that.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this league grows for sure. I think it's really cool that we're starting to follow not just the team in its first year, but the league in its second year. I think it'll be
Right.
cool watching it grow and how it evolves.
Yeah. No, that's one of the more unique things about this experience. And on the website, there's MLIS has divided itself up into multiple divisions, and it starts out at MLIS 3, which is free to join. So these indoor teams around the country can just be in MLIS 3. And so when you talk about kind of grooming and getting yourself up to that next level, it's $500 per year. So team chips in, and hey, we've got this, organized setup thing with, league support, scheduling, referee assignments, online marketing of your team. So, the backing of a league with, which is, it says free to join, but then it says league dues under $500 per year. I don't know how that works.
It's probably $500 for the team, but players individually are free. Like if you want to have a team, you have to pay $500 to have a
Hmm.
team, but players don't pay anything.
Well, however it works, then you move up to MLIS 2, which is similar. It's where the champion will have the opportunity to be promoted to the main league. So that's where you start to see, hey, you definitely should be competing in this higher up. And then yeah, you've got MLIS, which, hey, what are you interested in? And like, do you have the talent to compete? And I think, like you said, last year they said, okay, these teams could not compete with the big guys. Maybe they dropped down to MLIS too. I have no idea. Um, but either way, they've dropped it down to what seems to be a very competitive MLIS, Div 1. And then below that, that's where they're starting to, grow and start to get this, level of talent in and kind of get a little bit more understanding about how indoor soccer works. I mean, everybody's used to the outdoor format. So, that'll be one of the more interesting things to follow.
And I would also venture to guess that the league's budget is not necessarily at a place where anybody at anybody in the MLIS who's talented enough is financially supported to move to any city that has a Div 1.
Right.
Kind of got to be a local situation where you build up a club with local players that becomes good enough to move up
Yeah.
until the league gets to a place where they can, pay players enough to make a cross country move. Um, and that's how you really start to see talent spread. But again, baby steps, baby league. Um, cool that it exists. There is some very impressive talent in the league right now from what I've seen. And I'm excited to see more talent come in and watch this league grow. And, when the league grows, obviously venues are going to need to change and setups are going to need to be changed. And I don't know. I just think it'll be a really cool process watching this whole thing.
Yeah. I agree. Anything else you want to talk about with the Bucks?
No, it's, it's tricky, man. I haven't had a game in 2 weeks. I'm ready for tonight. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, no, same. Hopefully the snow kind of holds off and we don't see anything canceling. Um, so I've got some stuff,
Yes.
and I just remembered as we're looking at some of our more local things that the UEFA Champions League is also relevant right now
Oh yeah.
because it's February. So I'm trying to get a bracket of that so we can take a look at, um, I guess, just a schedule. That's what I'll do. I'll just pull up the schedule because they don't really do the bracket. They draw every round. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can have a little bit of visual as we take a look. Window. At all of this stuff. So moving past the MLIS, we jump into, I mean, normally we talk about Rapids. There's not much, too much to talk about today. So we're jumping straight past the Rapids, but staying in the realm of MLS with the CONCACAF Champions Cup, formerly known as the CONCACAF Champions League. This is the Cup. They've, I think, expanded. I think that's why it's now called the Cup. Is this has where did Baylor go? I think we just lost Baylor.
No, I'm right here.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just clearing up the screen so people can see better. That's
I
all.
see. I see. You disappeared. It freaked me out. Thought it was all by myself. Okay, so Champions Cup, we've got round one. They've I think expanded. So we've got this before the knockout rounds. We've got this kind of bye week. So this is what the actual bracket looks like. So there's bye round here for a lot of these teams. So I don't know exactly. I mean, that's the thing with Champions League is I don't tend to follow until the knockout rounds because most of these clubs I just don't know enough about. But this is what's going on. So this is an early round. I guess it is knockout stage. And some of the games have already gone down. Vancouver from the MLS started off with a tie against Tigres. Tigres usually does pretty well in these competitions. So Vancouver showing up to play. They will play again on the 14th here in 4 days. I think one of the more exciting matchups for me is going to be this Houston St. Louis matchup. Winner will advance to play Columbus. So we've got an entire MLS side of the bracket up here. Orlando versus, yeah, so CFC, I don't really know what we're rocking with. Don't know who they are, but I like to cheer for, the league that I follow, and so that's going to be MLS, even though I couldn't care less about Orlando during the actual season. I'm cheering for Orlando here. I think that's Monterey versus somebody. So it looks like 4-1 for Monterey in that first leg. They'll play again on the 15th here in 5 days. Cincinnati is yet to play. So some of these teams come in late. I know New England Revolution comes in on the 21st. Cincinnati after that at the 22nd in their first games. Miami being the winner of the Leagues Cup. The Leagues Cup, they qualified for that first round bye. So there's where Inter Miami is probably the favorites to go all the way. I think this is going to be the biggest test for Messi and this elite squad that they've built in Miami. This is where it starts to get relevant. You don't necessarily like some people are like, oh, that's too much for the MLS, but is it good enough to compete on this, a more international scale? And this is where this is going to kind of shine is, we've got these Champions League, the UEFA Champions League, elites from Barcelona coming in and playing for Miami now in their later years. So, come into CONCACAF champions and see what they can cook up here. So that'll be a really exciting thing to look for. Nashville, going to play in this first round. So if Nashville advances, that'll be a Nashville Miami rematch. I think they did play against each other in the Cup. I think that League's Cup was the finals, Nashville versus Miami. So that would be a rematch if they advanced. And really, so a lot of Liga MX teams. There's teams from like the league in Honduras and Costa Rica. So that's where I get kind of lost with some of these clubs. But Philadelphia, oh, they haven't played yet. I thought I heard good things about them. So that's it. I mean, there's your bracket. That's what we're looking at here. So these guys eagerly awaiting Columbus again, that MLS Finals winner getting into that first round bye. So I'm assuming that these are the winners of Liga MX and one of those other leagues that came in that are on these buys bye rounds here. But yeah, that is the Champions Cup. So Baylor, anything you want to chime in about this as we gear up to see that all these games coming up in the next 12 days?
Yeah. First thing I wanted to say was I'm really excited to watch Messi.
Yeah,
Um, I'm excited that they won the tournament and were able to hop on into here. Uh, and they're going to be in this tournament and make, like you said, probably make a lot of noise, probably find favorites to go all the way. But the second thing I was going to say is, are you telling me that when your club is not involved, you root for the country?
I think I might be saying that, Baylor.
Yeah, is that, maybe something to do with the show name or?
Yeah, maybe a little hint at the show name there, a little reference.
I'm the same way. Obviously, I think it's good for the MLS to get any sort of extra exposure they can get, and
Mhm.
absolutely doing well in these tournaments. It attracts attention to all of the teams in those tournaments.
Yeah,
All of these players are in from different countries. These different countries, they have talented players. Um, and this is a good way to showcase what the MLS has to offer to those players, and it's a good way to kind of grow the league. So
yeah.
I like these kind of tournaments. I'm the same way as you. I don't tend to follow them until the later rounds. Um, but yeah, cool that it's kicking off here.
Yeah, and only one MLS team has ever won it. So, this is something that we want to cheer on our MLS teams and get them some more of those W's. Baylor, do you remember which team that was?
Was that the Sounders
It was the Sounders, Seattle Sounders. Um,
with Clint Boy?
no, not this was 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, last year was another Liga MX team. I think they beat LAFC. Whoever won last year, and then yeah, Seattle got the W 2 years ago. So that is the CONCACAF Champions Cup. First round here, action coming up over the next 12 days. The Messi will not play until March 7th. That's the first game for them. So we will continue to update you guys through that as that bracket continues. We have talked about, as far as the country scale goes, we have talked about the Asian Cup and the Africa Cup of Nations on the show. And I made a prediction which was pretty bad. I made two predictions. One was terrible, one was pretty spot on. And we'll start with the terrible one. We'll start with the bad news. I was thinking that Japan and Korea would make it to the finals. The last time we talked about it, we were in the quarterfinals. So that Australia Korea matchup that we talked about, Korea got the W at 2-1. Jordan advanced as well, and Jordan beat Korea in the semifinals 2-0. And then I thought Japan as well. So Iran beat Japan 2-1 in that quarterfinal game, and Qatar beat Uzbekistan in a penalty shootout, which was pretty wild. Qatar in a 3-2 game. This was probably the crazier semifinal game. I think Korea just didn't quite show up for the semifinals. And so then, the final, that was today, that was this morning. So I did not get to see that game. But Qatar comes out with the W at 3-1. We saw them compete to a certain extent at the World Cup. They've certainly been building for that, since they were hosting it in 2022. They were like, okay, we're going to be in this tournament for the first time in forever. So let's make sure that we can compete. And since then, they have done a pretty good job on the global stage. And so proving that again in the Asian Cup, getting that W. So good for them, man. Good for them. Baylor, any thoughts before I move on?
Hooray! Good for
Hooray!
um Middle East kind of showed out in that tournament.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. A lot of action coming in.
Yeah, I didn't follow much of this tournament, so
Yeah, it was pretty difficult to follow. This was one of those that was um this might have been in the Paramount Plus tournament. So if you don't have Paramount Plus, you didn't get to watch any of these games.
I do. But
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
morning I was working, so
Yeah. It was just not an ideal one to follow. Uh The other one, this was all on BN or however they explain it, but this is the Africa Cup of Nations, which that was the one that I was more interested in. I've been following this one a little bit more closely, and I did make a prediction at the quarterfinals that Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire would make it to the finals, aka the Ivory Coast, and sure enough, they did. They'll play tomorrow at I think it's 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So pretty interesting stuff here. I mean, it is hosted in the Ivory Coast, so they've got home field advantage here. But Nigeria has looked absolutely insane the whole way through. And I wish I pulled up the clip for this one because Baylor, I don't think I want to get your reaction on this one. I might. Let's take a look at this. Oh,
Whoa.
this is just the penalty shootout. This is the highlights. $23 of which. Don't worry, we'll skip. Okay, so check this out. Nigeria's up 1-0 against South Africa in the 84th minute, going into the 85th. Nigeria wins the ball in their own box and immediately counterattacks with speed down the field. Boom. And that is their trip to the finals booked. Except, I didn't even go back. Did you see that tackle there?
Yeah,
What did you think about it?
it was questionable.
It was questionable. I don't know why they're replaying it. They went to VAR, and I've lost my internet. I think I'm like way behind. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're still on.
Okay, my camera's like crazy delayed on my side, and obviously I'm loading here.
Yeah, you are crazy delayed. Holy cow.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Am I back? Okay, I'm back. So Nigeria scores, but VAR determines actually no, you fouled the guy in the box. So they give a penalty the other way.
Oh my god.
And South Africa ends up, yeah, this is killing my internet to load this thing. We're going to get out of this one. South Africa ends up getting the penalty. They equalize. Then they go to a penalty shootout, which then they lost to Nigeria anyway. But it was insane.
How brutal would that have been for Nigeria
right,
to lose that way?
Right. Yeah. So, you never know. All of a sudden you're up 2-0 and then bam, it's actually 1-1 and you got work to do. So, yeah, so that's going to be tomorrow. These are probably the two best teams in the tournament. I mean, I don't think there's a more deserving team that should be in this final. So this is going to be intense. I think this is going to be a phenomenal game that we're going to see tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So there you have it. That is the Africa Cup of Nations.
All right.
And then moving along, I haven't even looked at Champions League since last year. So I just realized that it's February, which means that it's ramping back up. We've got playoffs. We've got the knockout rounds. So how much of Champions League did you watch?
Last year?
Like so far, like this year so far. We're done with the group stage. So did you watch
I watched Newcastle, as much of Newcastle as I could, and
right.
It was infuriating. So
yes,
I didn't watch much more than that.
Got it. Well, the draw was interesting. I'm pretty sure one of these matchups was crazy. But starting here on this Tuesday, we've got Leipzig versus Real Madrid. Honestly, I don't know much about either team. Do you know much about how they're doing? About especially
Yeah,
Real Madrid?
yeah, Real is doing pretty good.
They're good.
Yeah,
Okay. Man City versus Copenhagen. I think
y'all want
Man
some
City.
dip?
What?
Y'all want some dip?
Yeah, I want some dip.
Want some Copenhagen for the
Copenhagen.
Man City game?
Yep. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that being the big deal that they make there? Copenhagen, sponsored by Copenhagen. And then Wednesday is going to be Lazio versus Bayern, and then PSG versus Real Sociedad. Um, so that'll be our first week of knockouts, and then we move on. That second week is going to be Inter versus Atletico Madrid, PSV, which I always see them come up, and I never remember where they're actually from. Do you know what club this is?
I don't, but I think they're La Liga. I want to say.
Okay. I think it's one of those like off like a Netherlands or a
Mm.
um, you know, Russian league or something. But versus Dortmund. Napoli, Barcelona. I think this was the one that was an interesting draw. Um, Porto, Arsenal. I think Arsenal's got that one in the bag, but Napoli, Barcelona. I'm not quite sure. Uh, you know, who's got the favorite there, but Spain. So just noticing we've got an Italy versus Spain matchup. We got two of those. Okay, yeah, no patterns, no patterns, and yeah. So very interesting, very interesting. I mean, both of our main teams are out. We've got Man City and Arsenal from the Premier League to be looking
We
for.
can always root Cronky. That's always an option.
Oh, Arsenal, huh?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not rooting for Cronky. Did you see Cronky making a fuss about the World Cup coming to LA?
Is it the grass?
I think it's like the expense. The expense of
Is it because of the grass?
I don't think so.
Do they have real grass in LA?
I don't know.
Because the NFL players are pissed because the World Cup and FIFA has demanded every NFL stadium that is hosting a World Cup game put in real turf, not Astro. And that's something that players have been asking for in the NFL for years.
Oh,
And the NFL is complying for the World Cup.
that's funny, dude.
And a lot of ownership groups of stadiums are not thrilled because of the cost of putting in real grass.
Yeah, I mean, that might be my guess. He was making a fuss about like the overall cost of hosting it and like who should fit the bill. Like FIFA's going to make a bunch. Um, FIFA's going to make a bunch of money, and Cronky's like pretending like he's struggling to survive out here.
He hasn't won a Super Bowl, a Stanley Cup, an NBA champion, an NLL Cup, all in the span of like 4 years.
Right, like, bro, can you chill? Can you chill and just
Like poverty ass franchise, dude.
yeah, it's the
All,
World Cup, bro. Like, God, he pisses me off sometimes. Um,
yeah, it's old man Cronky that bothers me sometimes.
yeah, yeah, I don't mind. Like the kids are like
Yes,
GM of the
Josh.
Nuggets, right?
Yeah, Josh is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, like youth, boomer, dude.
Ageism.
You heard it here first. Colorado Sports Connection. We support. No, just kidding.
The show's been canceled.
You've been shut down. Um, I don't know. I don't know. This is covering it. Uh, but yeah, so the finals is going to be in New York. Originally announced for Dallas. I mean, I don't think it was officially announced, but I think like somewhere a rumor circulated, and Dallas was the place.
It probably should be. I mean, it should be Dallas or New York, the two biggest cities in the country,
Yeah, I
for
saw.
sure. I feel like the whole thing is with it being in New York is it's not New York, it's actually Jersey because it's going
Right.
to be MetLife. But
Yeah.
if you did it down at the Dallas Cowboys area, you have all of Jerry World down there.
Right.
That
Right. Right.
whole complex.
Yeah, it would be very cool down
And
there for
MetLife
sure.
is just kind of a gross stadium.
Yeah, and it's gross to get to and from. That's the thing. That's
Yeah.
all the memes that I'm seeing are like, imagine, God, it was like imagine some dude from Europe trying to navigate this, and it was a picture of the New Jersey Turnpike with all of their chaotic signs, and it was just like, oh yeah, they're screwed, bro. They are screwed.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to confuse the hell out of all the Europeaners because it's the football stadium for the New York football teams, right? But it's in
Yeah,
New Jersey,
yeah,
and like New Jersey is close to New York, but like the distance from New York to New Jersey is far for people in Europe.
yeah. No, right. And then they're gonna be like, wait, why are you taking me to New Jersey? I'm supposed to go to New York.
Yeah,
What?
we're not even in the same
Yeah,
fucking state.
yeah.
Whoa. Whoa,
Whoa!
there's the first one.
Brokey cherry. All right. Good job.
Yeah, there's the first one. Sorry about that. Try to keep it
What
family friendly here.
is that the rule? I haven't
It's fine.
inquired.
It's fine. It's just we just try not to ostracize any audience.
Okay.
It's not like we're gonna get taken down or anything. We're
Yeah.
just trying to keep it clean for all audiences. That's all.
We're gonna get shut down by Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg's gonna kick the door down
And
and
take
say
the
yo.
platform to Twitter for free speech. Just do whatever you want on Twitter.
Yeah. So I don't know. Sucking up majority of the revenue that should rightly go to the local organizer. Stands to lose out on millions for every World Cup game played at the stadium. There he is. Um, yeah, group stage versus for Cameroon, Sweden, I guess wouldn't even make the money back. So yeah, I mean he's just like I think he's like threatening to not host. I think he's like trying to, force Infantino's hand in saying, hey, we're gonna have to
I
get a
mean,
little bit of money.
he's got a point. I'll be honest. From everything I've heard, like Allegiant Stadium is insane, right? In
Yeah,
Vegas,
yeah.
but the Rams Stadium, whatever MetLife, not MetLife. What's it called? What's their stadium called?
Oh, SoFi.
SoFi. That's right. Apparently, SoFi is like a palace compared to Allegiant.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
SoFi is crazy.
Allegiant is newer than SoFi,
Right.
but SoFi is just unbelievable, and that is because Kroenke put his personal money into it. It's not like that stadium is so gorgeous because the city of LA funded it. No, that's like Kroenke saying, "Yeah, dude, you're using my building and I'm going to lose money." What?
Right. Right.
My beautiful building, which I hear, and I also hear that it's the World Cup. So I hear both sides.
Yeah. No, and the thing that like
I mean, if the president wanted to come into my house and like make a mess and it cost me money, I'd be like, bro, I don't really care that you're the president. It's
yeah,
my house.
right.
But at the same time, you're really going to say no to letting the president in just because he messed up your couch a little bit? Like,
Just picturing Joe Biden jumping on your couch.
yeah, exactly. Right. Riding his bike through your glass door or something.
Yeah, so I do get it. It was just when I got that notification, it was just like, of course, it's Cronky that's making the fuss. Like that was my, you know,
He,
Cronky's got to be the guy.
he used to be whiny, and especially when it comes to soccer, I feel like he gets a whiny rap because he's kind of seen as an outcast among EPL owners. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes feels like he has to fight to get his way, and because of that, he comes across as whiny in the soccer world for sure.
hmm
But I mean, the way he runs his other franchises, like that dude knows what he's doing, and if he's got to whine a little bit so that he doesn't lose money on the World Cup, I'm sure, dude, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't think that anything major is going to happen. I think, really FIFA's probably just going to throw the American owners a bone because, this is capitalism here. You're not going to be able to take advantage of, people in Qatar and the surrounding regions the way that, Qatar was able to turn that out. I mean, it's heavily controversial. We don't roll that way here. So, FIFA's probably going to end up throwing a bone to the
Well,
Americans. And,
and the way that Qatar bullied the no alcohol thing into it
oh,
after
yeah.
it was already approved, like with huge sponsors and everything,
Yeah.
like the way that all went down, like if I were the NFL stadium owners, I'd be like, no,
Right.
dude, I'm not
Yeah.
losing money for you to use my stadium.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's the direction it's going to be. I mean, Qatar, was able to negotiate some stuff with FIFA, and I think we'll be able to do that as well. So keep you
Got
posted.
some time, so
Yeah, yeah, certainly a little bit, just a little bit of time. I mean, now I'm excited, man. 48 teams. That's gonna be awesome.
it'll be nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah. Our I mean, I know it's 2 years out, but are we going?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that wasn't that the plan. What was it, like 8 years ago or something? We said if we ever get one.
Yep. Yep. The second it was announced, we were like, yeah, we gotta make it work. I
We
don't.
announced that we were trying to sort out a bid with
Yeah.
like Canada and Mexico and all them. Where
Yeah.
if it ends up becoming a thing, we got to go to one. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be dope for
oh yeah,
sure.
I'm also excited. Excited for two reasons on that front. I know it's like we said, it's quite a bit out, but um, the World Cup does well for soccer in the U.S., especially when Team USA plays well.
Yeah.
Um, but I have a feeling that even if Team USA is trash in the next World Cup, the fact that it's here
Yeah.
will keep people interested in it and keep
Oh, yeah.
people wanting more soccer. And then if we get it on the bright end and the US has a solid run and it's at home, like that, I just feel like it has a chance to kind of let the game explode a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, you remember, like, you're aware of what happened last time we had it.
No,
So back in '94 was when we had it,
yeah, I was
and
born in 1996, so
right,
I don't know what
right.
happened back then.
But as far as like history in American soccer goes,
Uh-uh.
it is a significant tournament, and a significant year because what comes 2 years later, besides you, in 1996, and besides me, what comes in?
The MLS.
The MLS. Yeah, the craze that was brought, like, we did not care about soccer on any kind of level. The best we had a pro league, and it was not MLS. It was like meh, like basically MLIS, the way that they are now, this very, kind of new thing. Like, MLS was just formed, and we just went like all the way in with soccer because of the craze. And now, since then, we've had all of these years to build, that um, presence. And I think that this coming in here is the most exciting thing that we could be looking at. Is um, I have no idea like what could possibly skyrocket past, but I think that it is going to explode, like you said. Regardless of how we do, we are going to have a brand new craze for soccer that is unlike anything we saw in 1994, and I could not predict where it will take us, but I'm excited for it.
Well, we're definitely primed for kind of a blow up with Messi being here and all of that.
Yeah.
There's definitely gaining some traction. So if we can get a good push with a good team while
Yes.
we have it here, that'd be really fun.
Yeah, that's like the big names in US soccer have been talking about that. You've got Messi, you've got these, big names coming in, you're expanding MLS, you've got the Apple TV deal, and you have 2 years until the World Cup comes. everything for the next 3 years is going to be like fully soccer focused. Like we've got to make sure that we're doing it right because the momentum, we need to take advantage of it. And if we don't do it right, we're going to miss the mark. And this is a, once in a couple of decades opportunity. So, yeah,
All right. Well, that was a little bit of club and a whole bunch of country for you today.
indeed.
If you missed any of the show, you can always check it out on our Facebook page or YouTube page. You can just go check out the live VODs. Um, Also, we have Broncos coverage. We have Avalanche coverage. Alex and I will continue to cover the Colorado Bucks and the Rapids once they get going. So make sure you stay tuned at CSC Facebook page and on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Let's go Bucks.